This list is only being made so Aaron Jones can be on it. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. I'm supposed to be live streaming tonight at 7 p.m., but it's storming out there. It's supposed to be 50-mile-an-hour winds. Is this finally the apocalypse? Take me! Grossi, and today we are going to be ranking the top 10 running backs heading into the 2020 season. Yes, this is, again, completely in response to that garbage list that came out yesterday that omitted Aaron Jones. I don't care if you're a Vikings fan or a Lions fan or a Bears fan. Aaron Jones needs to be on that list, and if he's not, you crazy. Before I get to that, I want to do a big shout out and thank you to some brand new patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and YouTube members. First, over on the patreon.com front, we got Jared Bressel. We got Not Here to Make Tom Say Anything Dumb, Just a Packers Fan. Thank you. We got Joe Foster up into $5. Then we got The Jags Are a Good Team. Haha, made you say it for the second time on stream. Curse you. We got Mason Holt, and we got future Vikings legend Aaron Rodgers. Every time! Then over on the YouTube front, we got Carlo Glorioso, we got Southpaw Loves Sports, Brian Laird, and we got World War II General Vince Vaughn and John Skalitsky. Thank you very much, all of you, for your support. It is much appreciated. Now, a few weeks ago, I contemplated doing a running backs list because we did the quarterbacks list, but I was like, you know what? It's okay. We can let that lie. And then yesterday happened, and everyone was like, what the hell is this list? It's hot garbage. So I was like, you know what? It's Friday. Tommy's going to make a list, and he's going to check it twice, and he's going to find out who's naughty and who's nice. Is Tom Santa? I don't know. Haven't seen them both in the same place, though. Coincidence? I think not. So let's start off with number 10, Lamar Jackson. Before we get to number 10, I wanted to talk about the guys who just missed this list and I think can crack into the top 10. You got Austin Eckler, who I think is going to be a fantasy stud next year. You got Le'Veon Bell, you got Joe Mixon, and you got even Chris Carson, who had a great run before he got injured, and even Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, a lot of people gave him a lot of crap, and he obviously didn't live up to his potential last year, but the guy still racked up a ton of yards. It was a career high. So those were the guys who almost made the list. Le'Veon Bell should be on this list, but the Jets don't know how to use him, so I don't have any faith in Adam Gase. So number 10, I got Ravens running back Mark Ingram. Yeah, Mark Ingram, I picked him in every single fantasy league I was in. And boy, oh boy, did that pay dividends, because the guy had an amazing year. 202 attempts, over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 247 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns through the air. He was a major part of that offense, while Lamar Jackson got all of the hype and all the recognition, as he should, because Lamar Jackson was incredible last year. Mark Ingram played some damn good football last year. And I think coming into this season, he's going to continue to play some damn good football. They obviously went out and they drafted Dobbins, who I think is going to maybe take a little bit from Ingram. But I think Ingram is still going to be the lead back there. And I think he most definitely deserves a top 10 spot. Then number 9, you got the Vegas Raiders. It's still so weird. Running back Josh Jacobs. Yeah, Jacobs coming in his rookie year. And he just came in like Miley Cyrus and wrecking balled the crap out of the league. Ran over 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. Guy was a bruising back, and this was all in his first year. Them coming in this year, as they added a lot more wide receiver help, they're not just going to have to rely purely on Josh Jacobs, and so hopefully that mileage will not overwhelm him and, you know, he'll explode into a million pieces. But I feel like Josh Jacobs is definitely going to be a top 10 back again this year, and the guy is just scratching the surface of what he can achieve in this league. Then number 8, you got Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb, a grossly underrated running back, and I think you could even make the argument that he deserves to be higher on this list. He was second in yards last year with over 1,400 yards, almost 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, and you have Kareem Hunt, who came in, who again, when he got signed, got all of the focus, because of all the terrible things that he did. But Kareem Hunt was great over in Kansas City. And coming into this year, I feel like Hunt has potential to steal some more carries from Nick Chubb. But Nick Chubb, what he did to the Ravens, he completely demolished that defense. The guy is a super underrated back. He's a bruiser. The guy has amazing speed. And I think Nick Chubb is going to have a very good and long career in the NFL. But then again, he plays for the Browns, so maybe not. Then number 7, you got Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvin Cook. Again, another one who could argue to be higher here. Cook, though, over 1,100 yards in 14 games last year because he had some injuries, had 13 touchdowns, and he's due for a nice payday, considering that when Dalvin Cook usually isn't on, the Vikings offense usually does not function very, very well. Yes, they have guys to back him up that could potentially take the reins, but looking at Dalvin Cook when he's threatening to sit out, that should, bring a lot of pause and concern for Vikings fans because he is the cog that helps that offense go. On top of that, you have Stephon Diggs, who is no longer there, so you just have Thielen and a newly drafted Justin Jefferson, who I have to think is going to take some time to get acclimated to the league. I feel like they are going to be leaning on guys like Dalvin Cook hard. And the fact that I know a lot of people don't want to pay running backs, and I don't blame them, Dalvin Cook is one of those guys that I think the Minnesota Vikings need for them to be successful. Then number 6, you got Green Bay Packers running back Aaron Jones. He made it, guys. He made it. Now, Aaron Jones, this was technically his first full season that he's played without any injury. And boy, oh boy, did he perform. Had over 1,000 yards on the ground, finished second overall in rushing TDs, had 49 receptions, nearly 500 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. Yeah, Aaron Jones did it all. And when Aaron Jones did well, the Packers did well last season. When Aaron Jones didn't do well, the Packers didn't do well. He was a staple on that offense last year. And I feel like for years, we were talking about with McCarthy, just give Aaron Jones the ball. Because he is one of those dynamic backs who can catch and also can run really, really well. Coming into this year, you're going to have the mix of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, so they're going to be able to rotate out. Jamal Williams, who knows what's going to happen with him if he's going to stay on the team. But I think Aaron Jones most definitely is a top 10 back. There is an argument that you could make that he is a top 5 back because he has been consistently good for the past 3 years. The problem is that he hasn't been healthy for all 3 years, but he just showed you what he can do when he is. Then rounding off the top 5, you got Saints running back Alvin Kamara. Yeah, Kamara, didn't really do well last year, but he also was super duper injured. Only played 9 games, 5 touchdowns, 797 yards, 81 receptions over 500 yards. This is the guy who is a dynamic back, is constantly giving the defense fits, and is another one that Drew Brees is going to have to seriously rely on this season. When healthy, the guy is one of the most explosive players in the NFL. He had 18 touchdowns in 2018 and was a threat both in the passing game and in the running game, and I think Kamara is just a guy that you just want on your football team because he is just so freaking fracking good. And we'll see this year if he's able to regain his past form. Then number 4, you got Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, less explosive this year, but still put up some damn good numbers. Had 12 TDs this past year, 4th in yards with over 1,300 yards, 2nd in attempts, so he was definitely utilized just as much after he led the league 2 years ago in attempts. He also doubled the amount of touchdowns that he had on the ground from 2018 to 2019. He had 12 this past season and 6 the year before. And Zeke obviously, has the benefit of having a great offensive line and being on a high-powered offense, but the guy is still one of the best running backs in the league and I think is easily top 5. Then number 3, you got Giants running back Saquon Barkley. I know there was a part of me that wasn't going to put him above Zeke and not to put him this high because really what we have as a frame of reference is we have his rookie year in which he killed it. Over 1,300 yards. The guy had 15 touchdowns total. just destroyed the league. Then last year, dealt with a whole bunch of injuries. But the reason I put him up here is because coming into 2020, I think he's going to be back in full form. Considering what he did in those last 3 games, he had nearly 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in just those last 3 games alone. And in 13 games, he still had over 1,000 yards last year with a total of 8 touchdowns. And I think Saquon Barkley also gets a higher mention because he does not have the offensive line that some of these other running backs have. He has the Giants' offensive line, which is hot frickin' garbage. And so the fact that he's able to be that successful, I think he definitely is a top 3 back. And then number 2, you got Titans running back Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, first in yards last year with over 1,500 yards, first in rushing TDs, first in attempts. That's the last one that scares me. Derrick Henry is the workhorse of that team. And that concerns me because you can only put so many mileage on the car before it breaks down. But Derrick Henry is a bruising back who deserves a crap ton of money. One of the bright spots I have for him, besides him just being an amazing game-changing player, is that they just drafted Isaiah Wilson, this huge frackin' guy to sit on that offensive line, who I think is going to help open more running lanes. And I think Derrick Henry is still going to be a top 5 back next year. And if it wasn't for the guy above him, he arguably could be the best running back in the NFL. And so finally, to no surprise for anybody, the number 1 is Christian McCaffrey. The guy literally does it all. 3rd in rushing TDs and rushing yards, 2nd in the league in receptions. That's not amongst running backs. That's the entire league. The only guy that he was behind was Michael Thomas. Did you see the Panthers' offense last year? It wasn't good. And it didn't matter who was behind center. Christian McCaffrey played his ass off and was the lone bright spot of that Panthers offense last year. So coming into this year, you have Teddy Bridgewater under center, who I think will provide some more stability, but I think they're still going to lean on Christian McCaffrey just as much. He's one of those dynamic, once-in-a-generation kind of running back who can literally do it all. Just got a huge contract, rightfully deserved, and I think Christian McCaffrey is going to continue to tear up the league for years to come. So, let me know what you think about this list. How you feel about it? Should people be up, down? Should people not be on this list? Should guys like Eckler be on this list, or Bell, etc.? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out Patcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTubes. And a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.